Northwest Indiana joins the nation in celebrating the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and the region mourns the loss of a life lived in service to the community. That's all coming up next on Lakeshore Report.
We're here in Gary, Indiana.
Hello, I'm Kristen Estes, and this is Lakeshore Report. Freezing temperatures and wind chills well below zero did not keep people away from this week's commemorations of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. In Hammond, the theme of the day was celebrating youth. The event, which was sponsored by the City of Hammond and the Ministerial Alliance of Hammond and vicinity, featured choirs, praise dancers, and speeches about Dr. King and his legacy. Organizers wanted to remind people to use the day off to remember Dr. King's goals of freedom and equality.
I think the message was making sure that today is a day on and not a day off, and also the impact that our youth had today. I think it was awesome. It was awesome.
His legacy. This is all about King, not about us. It's about the kids, nonviolence, what he stood for.
He was a normal person. The only difference is that he was not fearful and he was obedient to God.
Dr. King died April 4th, 1968. This year would have been his 87th birthday. This year's 25th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration at the Indiana State House brought together more than 500 students, state employees, local and state government officials, human rights agencies, and Indiana residents from across the state. At the event, a Northwest Indiana man was singled out for a particular honor. Greg Easton, principal at Morton Senior High School in Hammond, Indiana, received the 2016 Freedom Award. Easton has spearheaded changes which have increased the graduation rate at Morton from 60% to over 83% in just a couple of years, and has made the arts an integral part of the high school curriculum. The principal has implemented programs to increase student performance and conflict resolution, and he has worked diligently to create a better learning environment throughout the school.
The fact that I present an example for our staff and students of being respectful and having that very positive environment all the time. And my focus really has been on, the state, we have testing, we have all those things that are so important and we're measured by, but without relationships, without those positive relationships, it's not going to happen.
Northwest Indiana's Kendra Johnson of Gary received the Citizen Advocate Award for exemplifying Dr. King's values. Lawyers around Northwest Indiana use Martin Luther King Day as an opportunity to bring a little justice to those who often can't afford to see a lawyer. This week, the Indiana State Bar Association and Northwest Indiana volunteer lawyers sponsored the Talk to a Lawyer program, an opportunity for attorneys statewide to offer free legal consultations. Lawyers throughout Jasper, Lake, Newton, and Porter counties made themselves available to residents to discuss topics as diverse as family law, DUI charges, child support, and divorce proceedings.
One, in honor of Martin Luther King. His goal was to provide services to all and to provide help for all people, and so is our goal. Our organization, we help find volunteer attorneys for parties of low income. This is an extension of that.
Again, I'm helping people that they would feel more comfortable coming to a local area to talk to an attorney. For the most part, most of these people do not have the money to retain an attorney. So I try to give them the information that they would need in order to pursue what their needs are.
As attorneys, it's not always simple to give back given the nature of what we do and conflicts that arise. So this provides us an opportunity that is conflict-free and is most serving to the underprivileged.
Some 50 lawyers volunteered their time to give the free legal advice. Congressman Pete Visclosky was in the area this past week holding public town forums throughout Northwest Indiana. He spoke to a packed house at the Woodson branch of the Gary Public Library, talking to constituents about some of the biggest issues facing the region, including protecting the steel industry, growing economic development, and improving transportation infrastructure. Visclosky says that while the steel industry is facing tough times, he's working to make sure that it remains competitive with countries like China. He also spoke about his efforts to bring more federal dollars to Northwest Indiana to help fund the Westlake Corridor extension of the South Shore rail line. Visclosky says if we can get the new line built, it will help bring new residents and more dollars to the region.
The anticipation is with the expansion of the South Shore as well, because you want to grow that system too, from Hammond to Dyer. We would see checks brought back for people who would now be able to work in Chicago of $147 million more annually. And again, that money is spent in taxes, is spent in consumer activities in Northwest Indiana, but it isn't in the end just getting to and from jobs in Chicago.
Visclosky says the newly completed runway at the Gary International Airport will also help lure new companies and good-paying jobs to the area. This week, friends, family, and colleagues gathered at St. Timothy Community Church in Gary to celebrate the life of Lake County Commissioner Roosevelt Allen Jr., who passed away suddenly earlier this month. Allen was a 1965 graduate of Roosevelt High School in Gary. He went on to study at Indiana University and DePaul University, and then was employed as a funeral director at Guy and Ellen Funeral Directors in Gary. In 2006, Allen was elected as 1st District County Commissioner, replacing the late Rudy Clay after Clay was elected mayor of Gary. Allen also served as member of the Calumet Township Advisory Board. His political friends remember him as a statesman.
Real tough loss for me personally and for the county generally. Roosevelt, whether really in a lot of ways, whether you wanted him to be or not, he was a man to give you advice, a man to give you instruction, a man that was real helpful, always there.
The information that he provided to not just his district but throughout the county was awesome, and just always available and willing to share information and fight for the rights of the people.
Gary Mayor Karen Freeman Wilson says Allen was an exemplary government leader, an astute businessman, and a great philanthropist. Roosevelt Allen was 68 years old. The East Chicago Police Department is reaching out to residents, talking about the state of the department and listening to community concerns. Police Chief Mark Becker says communication between his department and those it serves is a two-way street, and he wants to encourage residents to establish a more in-depth and lasting conversation with the officers. The department held a town forum to discuss recent police-involved events in Chicago and to ask what officers could do to improve their relationship with the community. Approximately 40 people attended the first forum of 2016. While some residents suggested that officers should spend more time in the schools, others expressed hopes that more of their neighbors would be involved in future discussions with police. They say that meetings like this are good for the community, and if you're not involved, things won't change.
There's been a lot of negativity with police departments and cities, and that I think this is important. I just think more people should get involved, and that way it won't be separate. The police against the citizens.
I mean, you heard several people have a few comments that they weren't happy with the police department. That's what we want. We don't need everyone in here telling us how good we're doing. We need to know when we're not doing so well. And I think that was accomplished. And I think the fact that some of the comments were, when are we going to meet again, that's very encouraging.
Chief Becker hopes that by keeping open communication between his officers and the community, they can head off problems before they happen. Still to come, Stephen Latimer visits a charter school being forced to make some tough decisions. And Michael Puente talks about the state of E911 consolidation. It's all just ahead on Lakeshore Report.
Dreamsicles is the Martin Luther King Jr. Winter Celebration Week through January 24th at Bellevoo's Play and Discovery Center. Activities are designed for ages 9 and younger. There is a cost for admission. For information, call 219-963-2070 or go to mybelleboos.com. The Ordinary Extraordinary Junco documentary film will be shown at Gibson Woods on Sunday, January 24th at 1 p.m. The film is produced by biologists and filmmakers from Indiana University. The program is free and designed for ages 16 plus. Call 219-844-3188. The Northwest Indiana Regional Planning Commission will be conducting a goal-setting workshop during the PED, Pedal, and Paddle Committee meeting set for 1:30 p.m. Thursday, January 28th at the Construction Advancement Foundation Training Center in Portage. The meeting will focus exclusively on non-motorized transportation. Get Lakeshore's full community calendar event list at lakeshorepublicmedia.org.
The Thea Bowman Charter School is at the center of a controversy that could result in the school's closure. The Gary K-12 Charter School, the largest charter school in the state of Indiana, is being given an ultimatum: make changes or face possible closure. As Stephen Lattimore reports, the news has parents, teachers, and students upset. The school officials say they have several options and that closing the school is not one of them.
All right, guys, give me just a couple more minutes of your time. I know we're close to the end of the class.
People here at Thea Bowman Charter School are so pleased with the place that they often brag about how good it is.
Academics, we are the best or the best performing charter school in Gary, and we toot our horn because of that. There are only 2 public schools here in Gary that do outperform us, but we do outperform every school here in Gary.
They also have an urban farm program where the students raise chickens. They even went to the state fair last year with their 4-H program. This is why they were surprised when Ball State University, the group that oversees the charter school, said they needed to make some changes or they would close the school. Some of the issues are with governance involving the bylaws and who manages the school. Ball State wants an outside company to do the work, but administrators say that it takes too much out of the school budget. Bowen officials say when they managed the school, they saved $500,000 and were able to give the staff a 2% raise.
Well, I think that we need to get to the table and really have a discussion, a candid discussion as to what is going on, what is the true backbone of the issue.
The news that Bowman could possibly be closing has kids, parents, and teachers wondering if this will mean the end of what they've helped to build here.
Because it's a neighborhood, it's a family-oriented school. Family-oriented means that we look at the children for not more than just what's going on in the classroom. Some children come and don't get a chance to have breakfast. Some children don't have the money to buy all their uniforms, so they come to this school because it's a family-oriented school that they take care of the student, not just only in the classroom, but whatever we could do outside of the classroom.
Parents say they want their kids to continue getting their education here at Bowman.
But it means a whole lot to me because no one likes to just uproot their family and leave. And I believe this is one of the safest organized schools in the community because of one of the reasons why I decided to bring my children here. I needed to have people that was concerned about the community and also concerned about my child and their education and which direction they'll be going in.
School officials are trying to get clarification about what they need to do to get the school back into compliance. But they say if they're not able to resolve the issue, there are a number of other organizations that they can partner with.
Where we are right now is filing for the appeal, and that will be something that we will be doing this week. And we will definitely keep, as I said on Saturday, keep all parents, students, all of our stakeholders informed.
That urban farming program we showed you is part of a business that the students run here, and they sell those chickens to a place in Chesterton. They also grow produce and sell that as well. It's just one of the many things they say they get here at Thea Bowman that they're willing to fight for. In Gary, Stephen Lattimore, Lakeshore Report.
Supporters of Bowman Leadership Academy have until February 1st to file an appeal. The consolidation of Lake County's emergency 911 system hasn't come without some growing pains. The county has had issues with dispatchers, some who lacked adequate training. That's led to delays in getting ambulances sent to the proper address. Those delays are blamed for at least 2 deaths. County officials are trying to improve the situation, but some say those improvements aren't coming fast enough. Lake County Councilwoman Christine Sid sits down with Lakeshore Report's Michael Puente to discuss what else needs to be done.
Well, thank you, Kristen. Well, the state of Indiana ordered years ago for counties to consolidate 911 systems to reduce costs and improve service. In Lake County, that meant merging 18 or so separate municipal 911 systems. The transition hasn't been easy. Lake County Councilwoman Christine Sid knows about the problem firsthand, but is working to fix it. Thank you for joining me here on Lakeshore Report, Christine Sid, Lake County Councilwoman. Now, what is sort of right now, what is your main concern with the 911 system? Do you think they have ironed out all the bugs, or what is like your main concern right now?
Well, it is up and running, and although there has been some issues and some serious issues, I think the main thing now is because most of these dispatchers have come from different cities and towns, now they're having to deal with a larger area of calls from different areas. So it's getting them trained to know the Lake County area as a whole.
Okay.
And so, you know, and that is happening. And now we have more quality control of those calls.
Great. Now, I know you're working now with Herbie Cruz, who is president of Cardiotech LLC. Now, Herbie, thank you for coming here on Lakeshore Report.
Thank you, Mike, for having me.
And also, but you're working on a sort of a 911 educational guide for people when they call the 911 system, you know, what to say to the dispatcher to kind of help them with that.
To better prepare the residents of Lake County, about a month and a half ago, I was approached by Christine, and she just brainstormed this idea, which I think is brilliant. She asked me, Herbie, what can we do to better prepare the residents of Lake County when they do call 911? So I put many hours of research behind possible questions that they may ask, how 911 works, how to better prepare yourself, many different areas into this educational guide, again, to help not only Christine, but the residents of Lake County, better prepare themselves when they do call 911.
Now, Christine, why did you think there was a need to develop this guide?
Well, you know, we have social media nowadays, and I'm on Facebook quite often, and I listen to the radio stations. And I heard a lot of concerns and questions from residents about, well, how come this dispatcher doesn't know where I'm located when I call in? Why do they have to ask me my address, the address of the location that I need help over and over again? And so there was concerns about, well, when do I call 911? Do I, before, you know, this has been used often, if there's a cat in a tree, do I call 911? Or do I only call when someone's having a heart attack? So I wanted to, and it is a change, there is a new change in the county now. Anytime you need someone, police, fire, or EMS, you need them dispatched. And dispatched is the key word. When you need someone to come out, you do call 911.
That's right.
You can still call your local for others. So I wanted to let people understand that technology, you know, depending on your cell phone, your land phone, it's important to have that information and to prepare you. So that's why I did it. There were so many questions out there.
Now, Herbie, you've ran the East Chicago 911 system in the past.
For 8 years.
For 8 years.
That's correct.
What are the key, like 1 or 2 or 3, real quickly, advice you can give people? I know they're kind of in a state of shock when they're calling 911. What do they need to tell a dispatcher?
Well, most importantly, if they're in the midst of an emergency, they need to make sure that the scene is safe. Many times during an emergency, people, their adrenaline is pumping. People tend to have tunnel vision. Make sure that the scene is safe. There may be somebody with a gun or knife. Step back, look at the big picture, and then proceed with caution. Another, and it's much easier said than done, but stay calm and don't panic. It's very, very easy, especially if it's a family member, for you to get very excited. And many, many times when they call our dispatch centers, people are screaming and crying, and I know it's very difficult to do at times, but they need to stay calm. Time is of the essence. Seconds matter, especially in medical emergencies. Difference between clinical death and biological death. When somebody first goes down, that person's considered clinically dead. 3 to 5 minutes later, they're biologically dead. So time is of the essence. You need to relay that information as quickly as possible. You need to compose yourself and relay that information to the dispatcher so they can send the appropriate help that's needed.
All right. Well, obviously, this is a very important issue, one that we're going to keep following. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. I'd like to thank my guests, Lake County Councilwoman Christine Sid, for joining me here today, and Herbie Cruz, for president of Cardiotech LLC. Thank you for being here on Lakeshore Report.
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate you having us.
You go to the county website and find the guide.
Thank you. I'm Michael Puente, and we'll see you again next week.
It's that time of the year. We're in the thick of winter, braving wind, snow, and frigid temperatures. But fortunately, there's a place not far from here where winter and everything that comes with it is more than welcome. Around to the east side of the lake, we are going to ski Swiss Valley on this week's Jump in the Lake. Jamie, Swiss Valley is like home for you, isn't it?
Absolutely. Swiss Valley's been owned by my father since 1968.
So did you pretty much grow up on skis?
Yeah, absolutely. Spent more time in our ski boots than our shoes.
What made your father start this place?
My mom and dad were both teachers at the time that they purchased this, and they had gotten into a summer recreation business in Houghton, Michigan, and they decided that there was money in summer recreation, so they decided, hey, there's got to be money in winter recreation, and Swiss Valley came up for sale. They purchased it, and here we are. We teach over 10,000 lessons a year, so we are considered a teaching area, and we cater to families and teaching young to old. That's our specialty. We have 11 runs. We say 11 runs of varied terrain. And when I say varied terrain, that means beginner, intermediate, advanced. We also have 2 terrain parks, and that has become very popular in the last 15 years with similar to the X Games, we have man-built and snow-built features that the kids like to get out there, and adults alike. You see older people out there too, just enjoying hitting the jumps or going over a box, and that's something that has evolved. That, and also we see just as many snowboarders now as we have skiers. We say here at Swiss Valley that it doesn't matter where you start. Start here, ski anywhere.
Alex, you've been working out here for what, about 13 years?
12 or 13
12
years,
or 13
yeah.
years, and you've seen skiers of all abilities come up these hills.
Oh, yeah.
So, when somebody comes here and they don't know what they're doing, what kind of instruction can they expect to get?
If they don't know what they're doing, they can expect to, get a beginner lesson, and that's what we do the most of here. We do teach beyond that quite often, but we do a lot of beginner lessons.
Swiss Valley is not just limited to beginner skiers. I mean, there are clearly skiers of all abilities flying all over the slopes here.
Definitely, and we have a little bit of terrain to, cater to that. We've got a little bit steeper, a little bit more advanced stuff, and we have a terrain park too. We have a great terrain park, jumps and rails, and there's all types of abilities out here. You're absolutely right, and we have a little bit of everything for everybody.
And anybody of any size, not just ability, but size, can come out here, because I see little ones who, some of them look like they've been on skis for quite a while, but others who are just their first time out. They got teeny little skis, and you guys are taking them through it as well, aren't you?
Absolutely. We teach very little kids how to ski all the time. Now, their parents don't necessarily just leave
Just
them
let them go.
They don't leave them and take off. That would, obviously, that would be silly, but there's a lot of kids who are self-sufficient skiers out here who are 5 and 6 years old. A lot of kids want to snowboard first. I would encourage people to, especially younger kids, to ski first. Learning to snowboard is a little more physically demanding. You will be wore out after you learn how to snowboard.
Well, now that you've taught me a little bit, let's get out there and see if I can stay upright.
Okay, cool. So let's go ahead and shove you down the hill from the top.
Okay. Sure, no problem. A couple of local artists are taking a closer look at some of Northwest Indiana's most industrialized landscapes, often characterized as eyesores, and seeing them in an entirely different light. John Kane has more in this week's Eye on the Arts.
Hi. Joining me for this edition of Eye on the Arts is photographer Matthew Kaplan. Matthew, welcome to Eye on the Arts.
Thank you for having me.
So you're going to be featured in an exhibit with an artist named Kathy Los Rothburn from our region. Matthew, where are you from?
Well, I live in Chicago now, but I grew up in Northwest Indiana. I grew up in Whiting, Robertsdale.
Yeah.
And it's a part of the area that I still come to regularly. My mom still lives in the house I grew up in, and I still have a lot of relatives there. So,
So you, how did you get interested in photography?
I was in high school, the high school photographer for Clark High School yearbook, and then I just stuck with it. I've been a photographer since the 70s, really. And I've always enjoyed photography.
Yeah. Then how did you get interested in photographing industrial landscapes?
Well, growing up there, you're surrounded by industry, especially where I lived. There were factories, half a mile away on all sides. And it was, when I was a teenager, I probably found it a little bit off-putting and, smelly and everything. But after becoming a professional and moving to Chicago and then visiting there, not living there anymore, I just found the industrial landscape just really attracted me. And then as the years went on and it started to change, I decided that I really needed to start photographing it to capture, what it is that really attracted me to the scenes that you saw, especially as a lot of them were changing.
Well, I've always known Kathy as more of a landscape artist, and now she's been painting more recently industrial landscapes, which certainly ties in well with, she's a watercolorist.
Yes.
But your work and her work do tie in very well together, I think.
Well, they really do. I think her work's phenomenal, and I'm very, proud to be on the walls with her. And I really think she's been capturing kind of the evolution of the area as a lot of these old buildings are kind of weathering, and then nature is coming in and doing what nature does. And I just think that it gives it kind of a ruined effect, which I really like. It's very romantic, I think.
Well, this exhibit is a collaboration between South Shore Arts and the Calumet Heritage Partnership, which seeks to provide a sense of historical context for the industrial landscape in the Calumet region as a whole. And they're launching, I know, a series of events this year, a train ride and a bike ride and some other events along with, but starting with this exhibit at our South Shore Arts branch in downtown Hammond called Substation Number 9.
It's perfect.
Yeah, it is. It's cool. It's an old NIPSCO electrical substation. So the opening is on the 28th.
The opening, the reception is the 28th. I believe the show actually opens up on the 15th.
That's right. I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. But there's a reception for you and Kathy.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
so people
everyone
can come and meet you. Yes. Okay. Well, good. Thanks for being here to tell us about the show.
Thanks so much for having me.
And thank you for watching. We'll be back again next week with another edition of Eye on the Arts. Eye on the Arts is made possible in part by South Shore Arts, the Indiana Arts Commission, and the National Endowment for the Arts, a federal agency.
For more information on this or any of our stories, you can go to lakeshorepublicmedia.org. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you next time on Lakeshore Report.